So, this is going to be interesting. So, there is something that I found interesting about that, but that's more going into spoiler territory. But what do I like about this, which isn't spoiler related, or what do I find? So, one thing which I do find is interesting is this does have a sort of canonical overarching story. There is an overarching theme, there is an overarching story that we're trying to say, but they do have a bare moments that is basically somewhat episode of the week. More basically the monster of the week sort of format. They still again have a thing that they have overarching, but they still overall have here's a monster, here's a friend. Right? And all of that I think is interesting, fun, and exciting. And I generally like that. I also like Gundam series, I definitely like this. I prefer it how they basically pilot it. I'm not going to talk too much about it. It's a bit weird and I don't get it. And the ones that more into the mind base, I think are more interesting. But I do generally like the idea overall. So yeah. Okay, so most of this kind of deals with these group of people who have these unique robot designs, which I do like. It's not really a spoiler thing, but I do like the sort of like the robots design and how they're expressive. Because legitimately some of the shows, the robots are just but these having sort of like these LED like faces that sort of like show the emotions and sort of react, I think is cool and really fun. Um, and I do like it. Now, the one thing that I find is interesting is the whole thing generally builds up to basically man and woman are basically in the cockpit. So there is a whole thing of like something else later down the line, and I find that interesting. But mostly because there's certain things of like having kids, and does it disprove the show is bad? No, absolutely not. It's an amazing show, and I love it. I'm not saying otherwise. It's just a lot of the times because I don't have kids, I find it weird. It's like, oh yeah, the importance of having kids is like fair, valid. Like a lot of people would want to have kids, and that is a fair response. I'm like, sure, that's a thing. I can barely look after myself. If I look after a kid, the kid's gonna die in the next 5 minutes. The kid's born. Yay! The kid's dead. What the fuck? It's like, I thought he wanted toast. Then don't put him near the toaster. Obviously, I'm not that bad. I'm not that much of an idiot. But the overall experience is a thing that I'm not fully familiar with. Does it make the show bad? No. It's just not for me. I do like the idea that they abandoned them because of it. Because the idea of basically being like the one thing which I have, which is the one thing which is sort of makes me a bit iffy, it's seemingly, and that's my opinion. I might have misread this. I've shown the thing of like a man and a wife come, a husband and a wife come together and family, which I don't think is what it's trying to say, because there is two people who are later on down the line who have a thing. So realistically, I'm just being a person who's like, kids straight. I don't know. Maybe I'm an idiot. Fully, that is probably it. But because of that, and definitely one of the things earlier, which just makes me uncomfortable, they have a whole scene of like, oh, basically the acid thing that you would see in like fantasy shows where it's like the slimes and the acidity, and they have that type of moment, which I find uncomfortable. And I feel like, why? Like, I would immediately say something like, yep, we need to leave. Something's gone wrong and we need to deal with it now. And it's like, it is fair for them to get annoyed, but why are the other people who legitimately did something wrong not doing something, not being like, yeah, we're in the wrong. We could have said something about that. But yeah, it is still a fun show and I do like it. But yeah, overall, it's fun and I definitely would recommend it. So yeah. But yeah, tomorrow, let's go. Another one to space. But yeah, I hope you enjoy and good night.